A sudden turn in the Greenland standoff. Just hours after his address at the World Economic Forum in Davos, President Donald Trump announced that he and NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte have formed what he called a framework of a future deal on Greenland. The announcement, posted on Trump's Truth Social account, marks the first time Trump has publicly suggested coordinated movement with NATO on the issue rather than unilateral pressure. Trump said the negotiations have already produced a tangible outcome. As part of the emerging framework, he announced that the United States will no longer impose punitive tariffs on several European countries, tariffs that were set to take effect on February 1st. The move appears to pause an escalating trade confrontation that had been directly tied to Greenland, easing immediate pressure on US-EU relations. Details of the framework remain unclear. The White House has not provided further information, and it is not yet known what role Greenland, Denmark, or other NATO allies would play in any future agreement. Still, the announcement represents a striking shift in tone, transforming what had been a confrontational campaign over territory into a potential multilateral negotiation following Trump's high-profile return to the Davos stage.
There's one thing I heard you say yesterday and today. You were not absolutely sure that the Europeans would come to the rescue of the US if you will be attacked. Let me tell you, they will. And they did in Afghanistan, as you know, for every American who paid the ultimate, for every 2 Americans who paid the ultimate price, there was 1 soldier from another NATO country who did not come back to his family. From the Netherlands, from Denmark, particularly, from other countries. So you can be assured, absolutely, if ever the US will be under attack, your allies will be with you. Absolutely, there's an absolute guarantee. I really want to tell you this because it is important. It pains me if you think it is not. And under your leadership, this alliance is stronger than ever.
Well, thank you very much. It's an honor to be with you, and I thank the media for being here. We've taken long trips, and this was a long one, but it's been working very well. We're having tremendous meetings with heads of state, with people of very big consequence having to do with war and peace, which is why we're here. And I just want to thank the Secretary General for being with us. We have a few things to discuss. It was a meeting I actually look very forward to. He's doing a fantastic job. We've been friends. We lifted GDP from 2% to 5% together. That was done jointly, and it worked out really very well, and we appreciate it, Mark. So we'll be talking about various things. We'll be talking about Greenland. I imagine it may come up in our discussion. And but I think the trip has been amazing so far. It's been amazing. As you know, we're staying, and tomorrow we're doing something else having to do with the Board of Peace. We're getting tremendous acceptance of that. It's going to be great. So we'll see how that all works out, but we're doing that tomorrow. So thank you very much, media. Thank you very much. And Mark, would you like to say
just briefly, what I just wanted to say again, as I did this morning when I was in a panel, I want to thank you again for what you did since coming in January, Trump 47. Basically getting the Europeans and Canada to really step up, and that led to the enormous success we had in The Hague with the 5%, which is crucial to defend ourselves and to also equalize with what the US is paying. This was a problem already there since Eisenhower. I always tell the Europeans, you are completely committed to NATO, but there is also that one irritant, and it is this factor, that the Europeans were not paying the same as the US was paying. And we solved it, and this is crucial also because we need the money to protect ourselves. There's one thing I heard you say yesterday and today. You were not absolutely sure that the Europeans would come to the rescue of the US if you will be attacked. Let me tell you, they will. And they did in Afghanistan, as you know, for every American who paid the ultimate, for every 2 Americans who paid the ultimate price, there was 1 soldier from another NATO country who did not come back to his family. From the Netherlands, from Denmark, particularly, from other countries. So you can be assured, absolutely, if ever the US will be under attack, your allies will be with you. Absolutely, there's an absolute guarantee. I really want to tell you this because it is important. It pains me if you think it is not. And under your leadership, this alliance is stronger than ever.
Well, thank you very much. It's a great compliment. Any questions?
Mr. President, the Danish foreign minister rejected your call to negotiate on Greenland. What will...
I didn't call him.
No, sorry. The Danish foreign minister rejected what you said in your speech, that you were hoping to negotiate to acquire Greenland, essentially saying that this is not something that they are willing to discuss. So what will those negotiations
Well, they
look
didn't
like?
tell me that, so when they tell me, because I don't like getting it secondhand. If he wants to tell me, he'll tell me that to my face.
And when will you be discussing this?
I have no idea.
When you said you
I'll
were,
be discussing it with this man right here.
Mr. President,
He's
when-
frankly more important.
Mr. President, when you said you would remember if Denmark did not agree to a deal on Greenland, what did you mean? What are the consequences?
You'll have to figure that out for yourself. You're a smart guy.
Mr. President, do you see a price for Greenland that's reasonable?
I could see that, yeah. I could
What
see
would
that.
how would you calculate
I could
that?
see that, but there's a bigger price, and that's the price of safety and security and national security and international security, having to do with many of your countries. That's really the price, and that's the big price. And as you know, we're doing the Golden Dome. It's going to be very expensive, and it's better if we have Greenland than it is without. It's going to be safer. It's going to be stronger. It's going to be better for Europe, and it's going to be better for us. And so we'll see what happens. Any other questions?
Is it reassuring to hear the NATO Secretary General say NATO will defend the United States if it comes under attack?
Well, I hope that that's true. I mean, he's a good man. He's never lied to me before. You know, we've had a good relationship, and he made that statement. That's nice. I mean, I just, you know, when I see what's happening with Greenland, I wonder, because I want Greenland for security. I don't want it for anything else. We have so much rare earth. We don't know what to do with it. We don't need it for anything else. And in terms of Greenland, you know, you have to go 25 feet down through ice to get it. It's not something that a lot of people are going to do or want to do. No, this is security we're talking about. And I can say one thing about Mark. He wants security, and he wants security for all of us. Would you like me to say a few words of Greenland? I was going to leave it out of the speech, but I think I would have been reviewed very negatively. I have tremendous respect for both the people of Greenland and the people of Denmark, tremendous respect. But every NATO ally has an obligation to be able to defend their own territory. And the fact is, no nation or group of nations is in any position to be able to secure Greenland other than the United States. We're a great power, much greater than people even understand. I think they found that out 2 weeks ago in Venezuela. We saw this in World War II, when Denmark fell to Germany after just 6 hours of fighting and was totally unable to defend either itself or Greenland. So the United States was then compelled, we did it, we felt an obligation to do it, to send our own forces to hold the Greenland territory. And hold it we did, at great cost and expense. They didn't have a chance of getting on it, and they tried. Denmark knows that. We literally set up bases on Greenland for Denmark. We fought for Denmark. We weren't fighting for anyone else. We were fighting to save it for Denmark. Big, beautiful piece of ice. It's hard to call it land. It's a big piece of ice. But we saved Greenland and successfully prevented our enemies from gaining a foothold in our hemisphere. So we did it for ourselves also. And then after the war, which we won it big. Without us, right now you'd all be speaking German and a little Japanese, perhaps. After the war, we gave Greenland back to Denmark. How stupid were we to do that? But we did it. But we gave it back. But how ungrateful are they now? So now our country and the world face much greater risks than it did ever before because of missiles, because of nuclear, because of weapons of warfare that I can't even talk about. 2 weeks ago, they saw weapons that nobody ever heard of. They weren't able to fire one shot at us. They said, what happened? Everything was discombobulated. They said, we've got them in our sights. Press the trigger, and nothing happened. No anti-aircraft missiles went up. There was one that went up about 30 feet and crashed down right next to the people that sent it. They said, what the hell is going on? Those defensive systems were made by Russia and by China. So they're going to go back to the drawing boards, I guess. Greenland is a vast, almost entirely uninhabited and undeveloped territory that's sitting undefended in a key strategic location between the United States, Russia, and China. That's exactly where it is, right smack in the middle. Wasn't important nearly when we gave it back. You know, when we gave it back, it wasn't the same as it is now. It's not important for any other reason, you know, everyone talks about the minerals. There's so many places. There's no rare earth, no such thing as rare earth. There's rare processing, but there's so much rare earth. And to get to this rare earth, you got to go through hundreds of feet of ice. That's not the reason we need it. We need it for strategic national security and international security. This enormous unsecured island is actually part of North America, on the northern frontier of the Western Hemisphere. That's our territory. It is therefore a core national security interest of the United States of America. And in fact, it's been our policy for hundreds of years to prevent outside threats from entering our hemisphere, and we've done it very successfully. We've never been stronger than we are now. That's why American presidents have sought to purchase Greenland for nearly 2 centuries. You know, for 2 centuries they've been trying to do it. They should have kept it after World War II, but they had a different president. That's all right. People think differently. Much more necessary now than it was at that time, however. In 2019, Denmark said that they would spend over $200 million to strengthen Greenland's defenses. But as you know, they spent less than 1% of that amount. 1%. There's no sign of Denmark there. And I say that with great respect for Denmark, whose people I love, whose leaders are very good. It's the United States alone that can protect this giant mass of land, this giant piece of ice, develop it and improve it and make it so that it's good for Europe and safe for Europe and good for us. And that's the reason I'm seeking immediate negotiations to once again discuss the acquisition of Greenland by the United States, just as we have acquired many other territories throughout our history, as many of the European nations have. They've acquired. There's nothing wrong with it. Many of them, some went in reverse, actually, if you look. Some had great, vast wealth, great, vast lands all over the world. They went in reverse. They're stuck back where they started. That happens too. But some grow. But this would not be a threat to NATO. This would greatly enhance the security of the entire alliance, the NATO alliance. The United States is treated very unfairly by NATO. I want to tell you that. And when you think about it, nobody can dispute it. We give so much and we get so little in return. And I've been a critic of NATO for many years. And yet I've done more to help NATO than any other president by far, than any other person. You wouldn't have NATO if I didn't get involved in my first term. The war with Ukraine is an example.
When it comes to the security of the Arctic region, Europe is fully committed. And we share the objectives of the United States in this regard. For instance, our EU member, Finland, one of the newest NATO members, is selling its first icebreakers to the United States. And this shows that we have the capability right here in the ice, so to speak. It shows that our northern NATO members have Arctic-ready forces right now. And above all, that Arctic security can only be achieved together. And this is why the proposed additional tariffs are a mistake, especially between long-standing allies.
US President Donald Trump fires another warning shot at its NATO allies. If they move on trade, I'll meet it, he said, warning that it would ricochet back. This time, the trigger isn't China or Russia, it's Greenland, and a showdown unfolding as the world gathers in Davos. Speaking to News Nation, President Trump made clear the United States would match any European trade retaliation, move for move. If they do anything to us, he said, I'll meet it. Not a threat of escalation, Trump insisted, but a promise of symmetry. The warning landed before Trump arrived in Davos, the World Economic Forum, where allies, rivals, and dealmakers collide. But this year, Trump arrives with baggage. Over the weekend, he imposed 10% tariffs on Denmark and European partners, directly tied to resistance against US control of Greenland, and he has not ruled out military force. Europe has pushed back, publicly and usually bluntly. British Prime Minister Keir Starmer broke diplomatic convention, saying Greenland's future belongs only to its people and Denmark. France echoed that confusion. Trump himself shared a message from President Emmanuel Macron, I do not understand what you are doing on Greenland. Despite the tension, Trump struck an optimistic tone. He suggested a deal could be reached within days, possibly at Davos itself, one that leaves NATO satisfied and America satisfied. But behind the optimism sits a reality. Tariffs are already in place, trust is strained, and Europe is weighing retaliation. This is no longer just a trade dispute. It's a test of alliance boundaries, how far pressure can go before unity fractures. Greenland is the symbol, tariffs are the weapon, and Davos is now the arena where this standoff could either explode or reset.